Alright, Trekkers and Trekkers, it's finally time to talk about the final episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, All Good Things. So, here we go. Captain Jean-Luc Picard inexplicably finds his mind jumping between 3 points in time. The present, stardate 47988, just prior to the starship USS Enterprise D's first mission during the episode Encounter Farpoint 6 years earlier, and over 25 years into the future, where an H. Picard has retired to the family vineyard in La Barre, France. These jumps occur without warning, and the resulting discontinuity in Picard's behavior leaves him and those around him confused. In the present, Picard is ordered to take Enterprise to the edge of the Romulan neutral zone to investigate a spatial anomaly. In the future, he convinces his ex-wife, Dr. Beverly Picard, to take him on the USS Pasteur to find the anomaly. In the past, despite having Enterprise's mission to Farpoint Station cancelled by Starfleet to investigate the anomaly, Picard insists on continuing, believing the impending encounter with the omnipotent being Q to be more important. After reaching the place where he first encountered Q and finding nothing there, Picard enters his ready room, only to find himself in Q's courtroom. Q reveals that the trial started 7 years ago never concluded, and the current situation is humanity's last chance to prove themselves to the Q continuum. The secret reveals that he himself is the cause of Picard's time jumping. Q challenges Picard to solve the mystery of the anomaly, cryptically stating that Picard will destroy humanity. Dun dun dun. As Picard arrives at the anomaly in all 3 time periods, discovers that the anomaly is much larger in the past, but does not exist at all in the future. As the passive present Enterprise has scanned the anomaly with inverse tachyon pulse beams, Pasteur is attacked by Klingon ships, with the crew saved due to the timely arrival of Enterprise under the command of Admiral William Riker. Q once again appears to Picard and takes him to billions of years in the past on Earth, where the anomaly, growing larger as it moves backwards in time, has taken over the whole of the Alpha Quadrant and has prevented the formation of life on Earth. When Picard returns to the future, he discovers the anomaly has appeared, created as a result of his orders, and the tachyon pulses from the 3 eras sustaining it. Data and Geordi determine that they can stop the anomaly by having all 3 Enterprises fly into the center of it and create static warp shells. Picard relays the orders to each Enterprise. Each ship suffers catastrophic damage, with Q telling the future Picard that all good things must come to an end, just before the future Enterprise explodes. Picard finds himself facing Q in the courtroom as before. Q congratulates Picard for being able to think in multiple timelines simultaneously to solve the puzzle, which is proof that humanity can still evolve, much to the surprise of the Q continuum. Q admits helping Picard to solve it with the time jumping, since he was the one that put them in this situation, and then goes on to explain that the anomaly never actually existed, and that his past and present have been restored. He then withdraws from the courtroom and bids farewell to Picard, saying, "See you out there." Picard then returns to the Enterprise of the present, no longer jumping through time. As the senior staff plays a regular poker game, they reflect on the details of the future the captain related to prevent them from drifting apart. For the first time, Picard decides to join the game, expressing regret he had not done so before. Aw, that's a nice sentiment. So anyway, let's get some production notes about this episode. Ronald D. Moore and Brendan Braga expected Michael Piller or Jerry Taylor would write the finale. Consequently, they wound up writing All Good Things concurrently with Star Trek Generations, often confusing aspects of the two. The finale took a month to write. Whoa. The idea of what the series finale should be had been a matter of discussion in the writer's room for a year or 2 prior to the finale being written. Writers knew early on they wanted to do a Q show, a bookend to the series. An early draft of the script for the episode included a section with Captain Picard as acute as a Borg, but was cut on the insistence of Michael Piller, the show's head writer and one of its executive producers, who thought the show worked best with fewer timelines to jump between. According to Braga, Hugh, the rescued Borg from Iborg, would have appeared, rescuing Picard from the Borg Collective. Also covering the script was a segment where the crew had to steal the Enterprise from a Starfleet museum, similar to the events in the movie Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. The final scene, in which the crew played a hand of poker together, was the last scene shot for the show. As final scenes were filmed on the last day, the support staff and production crew came down to the set to see the end of the shoot on the series. The behind-the-scenes retrospective documentary called Journey's End, The Saga of Star Trek The Next Generation, hosted by Jonathan Frakes, was filmed at the same time as the finale was being produced. That's kind of interesting. Now let's look at the legacy of this episode. Writers for the TV show Lost cited Picard's time travel in the episode All Good Things as a reference for how characters travel through time in their 2008 episode, The Constant. That's kind of interesting. So this is a really darn good finale, and it's definitely one of the best TV show finales of all time, at least in my humble opinion. So overall, I give All Good Things 5 warp cores out of 5. Well, thank you all so much for joining me on another edition of Star Trektember, and next year we're going to be trekking along as we look at Star Trek Deep Space Nine. So, until next year, live long and prosper, everybody.